Hi, welcome to Alternate Reality Learning Modules by Chalkboard Productions. My name is Deb Reed and I'm the owner of Chalkboard Productions. I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of what our alternate reality learning modules are so that you can use them to enliven your classroom. To start out with, alternate reality learning is setting up new rules, new people, and new locations in your classroom so the students will be able to talk to each other and find out new information about each other in a situation that'll be more practical and more realistic than asking other students information that they already know about them. So if you have a classroom where a lot of the students know each other, this can be a way of kind of adding new characters and new people, so when they ask what their name is or how many brothers and sisters they have, it is a more realistic situation and not quite as artificial of a feel to it. We have 6 of them out, 3 of them in Spanish and 3 in French. Please be aware that red means Spanish and blue means French. That's kind of the difference between them. The core module is what you just saw, and we have 2 terms at Chalkboard Productions, core module and extra module. The difference is the core module sets up things, and it sets up this new identity, this new person that the students are going to be dealing with. It puts that person in a new location, and then that will help to cause a lot more new information to be available that the students can talk about in the target language and use for different situations. And if you use TPRS, you can have the students have the stories revolve around these new identities. For extra modules, the extra modules are more on specific topics or expansion activities or cultural information. So the core module is actually the center, and then the extra modules will be the hubs that go out. Extra modules will be more of a pick and choose according to the teacher's preference and what they'd like to have in their classroom and what things they'd like to include. There are presently 3 levels of the core modules out. The level 1 is Duckopolis. That doesn't mean that you can't use Duckopolis in the other levels. It just means that the majority of Duckopolis is geared towards level 1 activities, and the extra modules that go with it will be more geared towards first year things. The level 2 is Community. Again, it can be used in any level, but most of the vocabulary that will be used in it will be for level 2 students. Level 3 is Kingdom, because a lot of level 3 and 4 activities are going to be revolving around historical information, and so that's what these two, their major focus is. To give you an overview of the levels, we have, first of all, you can see that it gets progressively longer as we go, because they start out with Duckopolis, and that, as I said, is geared mostly towards level 1 because they are working on basic information. Level 2, they have more of a grasp on the basic information, and we add a little bit extra to that. In the Kingdom, by the time they're in level 3 or level 4, they should have more of a grasp on the basics and not need to focus on those, so we added extra things for them to learn and to expand on their vocabulary. Each of them starts out with the marital status and the age, and then they also have last name, but the last name is different for every level. There are 6 last names in Duckopolis, 6 different ones in Community, and 6 still different ones in Kingdom, so 18 altogether. They are famous Hispanics or famous French speakers, and there will be one of the extra modules that comes out dealing just with those. The nationality deals, again, with Hispanic countries, Spanish-speaking countries, or French-speaking countries, and it will have an extra module that will come out for those where it deals with the different nationalities, the different countries that are represented. Notice that Kingdom is a little different because it deals with the medieval kingdoms or areas that were under an authority or a rule of that time in the medieval times. As you can see, the house, again, is the same in all 3, but they are different choices. So again, each one will expand and will have different vocabulary the students will deal with. Duckopolis mostly deals with belongings, basic common things you might have around the house or things kids might own, and pets. And then Community has professions, chores, and vehicles. Again, not not always, not, some of these are not all common things. Sometimes they're funny for a little bit of livening up the class. Kingdom deals with many different things, but all of them are geared towards the historically accurate for that time period. So it's not just any kind of house, it's houses specifically that would be, that might possibly be there or be available during the Middle Ages. So you can see that there is a progression and a difference in them. There are some upcoming extra modules that are not released yet, and we're still working on a lot of them, but they will be coming out as time goes on, so please check. Depending on when you watch this, they may already be out, some of them. So they deal with different levels, but some of them also could be used for more than one level. Like, for instance, the elections. You could actually have elections in Duckopolis, and you could use the elections in the community. The same thing with building a city. The jousting is pretty specific, though, towards the level 3 kingdom, although I suppose you could probably modify it a little bit for the other levels. The Kia quizzes, if you know anything about Kia.com, it has quizzes that you will be able to use. What the Kia each of these will come with a Kia module, so that there will be quizzes you can give your students. If you have a Kia account, it does not come with this, but if you have a Kia account already, then you'll be able to import the quizzes and to tweak them however you choose. If you don't have a Kia account, your students can still take the quizzes. You'll just have to monitor when they take those, and you won't have quite the access of bringing it into your account to make any changes that you want to make. Before I go on, there are some things that come with all of these. When you get the CD, first of all, there will be an info sheet that the kids can use to fill in as each student is rolling the dice and finding out what their new character is like. Or you can have them fill it in later as they go around and ask for information from the students. But all of them have an information sheet where they can keep track of the information for the students in that particular class for that activity as they set up their characters. And they are all specific towards that particular thing, so that particular core module. Another thing that they all have are worksheets on there. And as you can see with the Duckopolis, there are some matching, there's some translation, and there are other activities that they have. All of them do come with the answer key to make the teacher's life a little bit easier, because anything to save you time on grading or anything like that is a wonderful thing. Here's what Duckopolis actually looks like. It starts out, now these are all PowerPoints. All the core modules are PowerPoints that use hyperlinking to give a random answer to the students. These are the different navigation things. These are the different areas that will be covered. Every one of the core modules starts out with a navigation page, and then you can choose. My suggestion is you take one area at a time, and then you use it for a day or two, or sometimes even a week in class, and then before you're going on to the next area. The first one, of course, has to do with their marital status, and it's all based on randomizing things and rolling the dice. So the students roll, and if they get a 1 or a 2, they're married. If they get a 3, they're divorced. And if they get a 4, 5, or a 6, they're single. And that's important that there's a lot more singles, because the singles become the children. After they roll for that, then they roll to find out if they are a married person or a divorced person, if they have children. If they roll a 1 to a 5, then they have children. If they roll a 6, then they don't have children. If they do have children, they roll one more time to find out how many children they have. The children are chosen from the singles, and those are the ones that they will use as the pool for the singles. It can sometimes lead to some interesting stories. I had one girl who rolled a 6, but there were only 5 left, and it ended up becoming part of the story that we did throughout the year, that she actually did have 6, but she needed money for food, so she sold one of them. And then one day she was in the park and she saw one that looked like the one she had sold, and so she kidnapped him, and it ended up with a SWAT team and I don't know what else, but it was quite involved. Then the students roll to find out how old they are. The adults, the parents, the married people, and the divorced people will roll to find out how old they are. They can choose any, if for instance if they roll a 1, they can choose any of the ages between 20 and 25. For the children, after the adults get their chance, the children get their chance to roll and find out how old they are. This can often lead to interesting situations where the parent is younger than the child, and then it leads into a story, well, why is that? And we talk about it in the target language. So it opens up the doors for a lot of conversations about the target language. It also takes the pressure off of some people, some of the students who don't feel comfortable talking about their own families, because sometimes there might be difficult situations in their own families, but they can make up this character, and you can be talking about the character that the kids do care about, but it's not so personal that it may embarrass them or anything like that. Then the students, the next area that we go to, if we want to stop there, that's the first area. We want to stop there, then you can, but if you want to do more than one section, you're welcome to go ahead and do that too. It's up to you how you use it in your classroom. The navigation page has a link to each one of them, and you can choose individually. I use this arrow in the upper right corner, the upper left corner, excuse me, that will take you back to the navigation page all the time. Then the students roll. They choose somebody in their family to roll, and they find out what their last name is. Again, the last names are always famous Hispanics or French speakers, and they are different for every level of the core modules. The arrow in the upper right will take you to the next section, which is where they live, what kind of house they live in. They might live in, or I'm sorry, what location they live in. There are 6 different Spanish-speaking countries or 6 different French-speaking countries that they will live in, and each level has different ones that they'll be introduced to. The next section is on their house. What kind of house? Will they live in a castle? And the arrow in the lower right corner, again, takes you back to the choice screen for the next student to roll. Or they might even live in something like a tree. So some of them are realistic, some of them are not realistic, just for fun, and it adds a lot of spice and a lot of difference to the conversations. When it comes to the things, the items that they have, the belongings, or it comes to the pets in Duckopolis, it's actually, the other ones have 6 different choices. This one actually has 36 different choices, because the students roll, say for instance they roll a 2, and then they roll again, and say this time they rolled a 4, and this person has a fireplace. So they can roll to find out how many of them they have. When you click on the arrow in the lower right corner, it takes you back. There are 36 possible choices on the belongings and on the pets. So that's how Duckopolis really works. That's how all of them are working. The nice thing about them is they are PowerPoints, and that means that you can save a copy of them and you can tweak them however you want. If that's not the word you're going to be using in your class for that particular item, change it. If you want to focus on some other items, change them. It's very easy to do. You just go into the slides and you change them. If you have some specific countries you want to work on or specific famous people that you'd like to mention, change them. You could use Duckopolis every year and change just a few things in it, and it would be a different setup. In fact, because it's random, if you use it in, say you use it in 4 or 5 classes during the school year, you will find that every class sets up differently just because of the randomization of the dice rolling. So these are our different modules that we have at this time. Like I said, if you're interested in ordering them, please make sure you check out my website, chalkboard-productions.com. And if you have any questions, you can email them to Chalkboard. Notice how Chalkboard is spelled, CHALKBRD @chalkboard.com. Or you can even go to chalkboard.com, and that's the same website. So you can check us out. Our alternate reality learning core modules are up and running. We are coming out with the extra modules. We're working on them right now, and they should be released pretty soon. So I hope you enjoyed this and it gave you some information. Again, if you have any questions, please send me an email, and I'll be happy to answer you. thank you so much for your time and listening, and I hope it will interest you in using alternate reality learning in your classroom. Thank you. Bye.